Are there any drummers in the house?
I play percussion. That's because you couldn't play anything else.
Shut up. Come here, dude.
Hey, man. Did you touch my drum set? I am warning you right now, you touch my drum, I will stab you in the neck with a knife. Not quite my tempo. It's all good. No worries. Here we go.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Drumheads Podcast. My name is Daniel, and this is episode 98 with Edwin from 3rd and 4th Drum. This was a great episode for multiple reasons. Just to give you a little bit of a backstory, I was, over the past week, I've been racking my brain about, I was wanting to do something to help out, the victims of Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico, and I couldn't figure out, do I reach out to somebody, what do I do? And I got a message from Edwin on Instagram saying, hey, I'm going to be doing a little, snare drum giveaway to raise money for his family that lives in Puerto Rico. And I'm like, that's it. So I'm like, hey, let's have you on the podcast. We can hear your story and all that. So I kind of made it into two things, talking about the raffle, but it was also just great to talk to Edwin and talk about, his experience with, custom drums and all that. So like I said, it was just a great episode. I felt like the stars were aligned and it was meant to be. So with the raffle, Edwin has kind enough to put up a custom snare drum that he's going to be building himself. I think he's going to be collaborating with one or two other people, but it's going to be kind of a little bit of a mystery. So it's going to be fun to see what he comes up with. So you can buy tickets; they're $5. I'll put a link below, and I'll put it on Instagram and all that, Facebook. So all the money is going to go toward helping not just Edwin's family that's in Puerto Rico, but the community they belong to. He was telling me, luckily, they were not impacted as severe as people are on the eastern part of the island. They're more on the southwestern part, so they got hit pretty hard, and roofs gone and stuff like that. But they, they're slowly starting to get their bearings and all that. So, but like I said, it was just great to have him on. This is what I love doing. I love podcasts, but I love the human connection. That we can have faith in humanity that we're doing right, the right thing, and I may not have tons of money, I can just throw and stuff like that, but I do have a following, and I'd be remiss to not, use that in a good way. So, you guys, please purchase tickets. The money's going to help the community there and his family, and yeah. So here it is, episode 98, 2 away from 100. With Edwin from 3rd and 4th Drum. Buy your raffle tickets now. Hey guys, there are multiple ways you can help out the podcast. First is you can go to iTunes and leave a positive review of the podcast. So you could put 5 stars for the podcast. Also subscribing to it. So if you have a iPhone, it's super easy because you have a podcast app built into your phone. So go type in the Drumheads. We will pop up and you hit subscribe. That is one of the best ways to help out the podcast. Like I said, great reviews on iTunes, positive messages and stuff like that. Also, if you want to become a Patreon member, this is something I'm going to start pushing a little hard right now. So, just go and just be, if it's $1 a month, all the money that's going to be coming into the Patreon account will be to help the podcast grow, so we can maybe pay for the staff instead of having everybody volunteer, and stuff like that. And then just to keep up with, updates with everything that goes on with doing a podcast. So if you can become a Patreon member, that would be awesome. Also, if you just want to make a donation, you can go to our PayPal account. Also, be sure to go like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. I'm pretty sure you're already on Instagram and you've liked us there, but if you are new to Instagram, go check us out there. That's our biggest following right there. And just, thank you. So all that, Patreon, iTunes, liking, subscribing, all helps out the podcast. So thank you very much. I just want to take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, Regal Tip Drumsticks. Regal Tip is so awesome. They've been such a vital part of help growing this podcast, and I just want to take the time to thank them. And to be sure, if you're looking for some drumsticks, go check out our friends at Regal Tip. Go to their website, regaltip.com. You can check out all the sticks that are available. They make excellent brushes. They make excellent drumsticks. And, if you have a question, feel free to reach out to them. They are super helpful when it comes to that. So if you're looking for a certain type of stick, a certain type of length, they can help you out. And I love what they're doing with the the internet drummers, you could say. It's a very collaborative community, and they've come on board, and I find that so refreshing. So I just want to thank Regal Tip again for their sponsorship. And if you're interested, just send us a message. You can also become a sponsor. But again, if you're looking for a good pair of drumsticks, go to regaltip.com and you will find yourself a collection of great drumsticks. Thanks, Regal Tip. You guys are awesome! Oh, I'm going to go ahead and hit start record. All right. Hey guys, welcome back to the Drumheads podcast, and I am joined by Edwin of 3rd and 4th Drum. How are you?
I'm doing well, Danny. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. I had a mini panic right before I got the laptop open up, and I've been hacked. I'm like, oh no, this is bad. So I had a crisis moment. Got everything. It's a pain to get a new password. It's like, well, we got to send you this validation code. I'm like, come on, I've got a podcast to record.
Dude, that's a funny story because when I got here, I had to restart the password to my Skype, and I was like, okay, the password that I use for everything isn't working. Let me just create a new one. Let me try this one. They're like, you can't use that password. You already used it.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, let me try this one. Well, you can't use that password either because you've already used it. So I'm in a freak out moment because my phone's about to die. We're about to do this, and I gotta remember a password that I'll never use for anything else.
Yeah. Have you ever done the recommended password that they're like, hey, use this password, and it's 55 characters long? You're like, no, I'm not using that password because I will never remember it.
Yeah, I don't do those. But I should because it's all saved to whatever Apple does on your. But I just like remembering my passwords. Well, I guess I'm not good at that because I had to make a new password.
I hear you. I'm like, I'll just change one letter, and they're like, denied. I'm like, oh, come on, this sucks.
And when they tell you can't use a special character or, I'm like, guys, this is the way I do it. So I don't get hacked. I have to use all these characters. Are like, no, you just have to use numerical and alphabet. I'm like, oh, right.
Yeah. It's like, everyone's like, oh, your password must be about drums or, Italy or Greece. I'm like, well, if you know my lunch code number from when I was in high school, then you'll know.
Yes. That's great. That's actually my high school number is my PIN number for my debit card.
Yeah.
I'm glad no one knows.
I know. It's because when I got an email account, it was, back, long time ago. I'm not going to try to date myself. Most people know I'm not, in my 20s anymore. So it was they're like, use a password that you will remember. I'm like, well, I know this number from lunch and you check out school, books in the library and all this other stuff. So I'm like, I'll just use it. And it's funny, my wife has slowly adapted my password and her stuff because we use it for everything. So, she's the only other person that knows my stuff, so
nice.
It's pretty cool. Well, let's, since we had a 5-minute conversation about passwords, let's talk about some drums. I love it. I love it when
sounds good.
I love when the conversation just goes where it wants to. So, going back to, let's start with your drumming beginning. So, how old were you when you started playing drums?
I would probably have to say around 6 or 7, somewhere around that vein.
Mm-hmm. What was the thing that drew you in? Were you at a performance or was it just something? Yeah.
Oh man, actually, the first time I remember picking up or percussion instrument was it's probably like 6 or 7 years old, and it's the guido. It's kind of like it's a percussive instrument. I lived in Puerto Rico, and I just remember in kindergarten, and just we're all about to do a song. Who wants to pick something up? And I just I was like, hey, that looks fun, the guido, and I just started playing. But I remember the first time that I can recall vividly was my dad was a janitorial responsibility at a church in New York, and while he was cleaning the church, I would just pop in a tape into the PA system, and I would sit behind the drum kit and just try to play along. And I come from a very musical family where my uncles, my dad, his dad, we all like gravitated towards the drums or just anything musically. My mom was an excellent singer, and I wish I got that gene, but I got the gene.
Yeah, me too. Totally. That just woo. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, who did any of them were they professional musicians or just kind of hobbyist musicians?
Just mostly hobbyist. My uncle, I mean, if it came to being an artist, a professional artist, he's a pop artist in Florida. So there's, artistically speaking, there's we all do something that's artistic. But we just play for the fun of it, man. It's just kind of in our blood and our soul and in our heart. So,
so did you do school band or anything like that, or?
Yeah, I did. I did it young, probably elementary school. Can I tell stories on this?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you can tell stories.
This is my first podcast.
I love stories.
I know how this goes.
Yeah, stories are great.
So right before middle school, I remember my mom and I went to a cafeteria, and she's like, all right, this is where you try out for band for middle school. And, we're gung-ho. It's like, yeah, I know I want to do percussion. I want to do drums. And we're sitting there, and I just changed my mind. He's like, Mr. Gonzalez was, so, Edwin, what do you want to play? And something in me just said saxophone. And the reason why, I was like, man, ladies dig saxophone players. Those saxophone solos are just awesome. And my mom reached behind me and just did a quick up with her hand and kind of hit me in the back of the head. I was like, I'll drums. I'm here for drums.
She steered you in the right direction.
Oh yeah, she did, and I'm glad. But I did it all the way to college. I did high school band. I went to Texas A&M University, and I was in the Corps Cadets, and I was in the drum line there. And when my time was up at Texas A&M, I went back home and did a community college. And I was in the jazz band, and that just opened up the possibilities. I heard the saying prior to this that you can't take a rock drummer and place him anywhere, but a jazz drummer, man, you can put him in rock, you can put him in Latin, you can put him in funk.
Oh yeah.
And, dude, it was just a different experience, and I'm glad I did it. I met one of my best friends there. But yeah.
Nice.
So I've been doing it for a while, but yeah.
Nice. Well, I mean, it's funny, most of the drummers I talk to, I'd say half are, just did rock band, in the garage, just stuff like that. And the other half were, did, they would do garage band kind of stuff, but they would also do school band as well. So, it's funny to hear both sides. I did school band. I just faked my way through it because I can't read music. So, I always tell people drum lines based on me. But it's, they're like, oh, come on. I'm like, no, I don't. Yeah, I faked my way through it. But, I can't read, I'm dyslexic. So all the stuff on the page is just it's just there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, I didn't do it in college or anything like that. After that, it was more or less, I focused on playing in bands. I was into ska, love ska. That was one of my favorite, styles of music to play, because nice. you get the reggae, you get rock, you get funk, you get it all meshed together. So,
That's nice.
So who was that first drummer that really stood out to you, though?
Man, that's a good one. I think it's probably my freshman year in high school. When my buddy Mark Squires, he gave me a CD and said, "Hey, dude, you really got to check this drummer out." Mm-hmm. I said, "Okay." I was like, "I have to do it when my mom's not around because it's not Christian music." And
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
My Mark said to me, "No, dude, it's okay. They only say one word and it's hell, so you're good." I was like, "Okay, I can explain that to my mom. He just said hell." Mm-hmm. So, but anyways, it was Mike Portnoy. From
nice.
Dream Theater, former drummer of Dream Theater, and it was Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory, and that shaped me as a drummer, as a musician, as a person to listen to like other musicians in the band, like the vocalist, the guitar player. It's just, you're not just the backbone of the band, but now you've immersed everyone. Like you've just included what is the guitar player doing? What is the bass player doing? Like, is there a run on the keys, or what is the singer doing? Is he like timid, or like vocally? Is it soft? Mm-hmm. It's just, it opened my mind. But Mike Portnoy was the one that I first got started with. So
yeah, I love Liquid Tension Experiment. The 2 albums, that was just so great. I love that.
Yes.
I love those actually more than I would do Dream Theater. I don't know, I guess because Dream Theater is so long and epic sometimes, I kind of got lost in the, what they were doing, which was great, but something about Liquid Tension, just it held my attention a little bit longer, and it was fast and it was catchy.
Oh, dude, that in itself, Liquid Tension, I mean, pretty much almost what everything Mike does with all his super groups and all that stuff. I mean, I've kept up, but Liquid Tension, I have the DVD of it. I have his anthology book that has, Paradigm Shift and all that kind of stuff. There's a song, I think it's the first record, Hourglass, where it's just John Petrucci and Jordan Rudess they're like, "Hey, dude, let's just hit record and see what happens."
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Dude, it's one of my favorite tracks on that record, and it's just so good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nice. That's I'm not gonna, I like Dream Theater, but I felt like when he left, it kind of just, it fell apart a little bit. I remember watching the auditions for all the drummers.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was I was pissed that they didn't pick Marco Minnerman to be the drummer. I thought he would have been an excellent addition to because he was younger, he had a little bit of a different interpretation of how to play the songs and stuff, and I know why they picked Mike Mangini, because he was kind of familiar to all of them, but I just felt like it was a missed opportunity. Marco would have just elevated it to a different plateau, I think, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I do miss Mike Portnoy. Because he had a big part of Dream Theater. Like he was a producer. He lyrically helped with it. And all the live stuff. He was a big part of Dream Theater, and that's something that, as a drummer, not a lot of drummers have their hands in the band. And that guy, you can tell that he was just so immersed in his work and his craft with Dream Theater and how much he cared. But dude, when I heard that he wasn't in Dream Theater anymore, I was like, man, he didn't die, but this is killing me.
Yeah, totally.
But Mike Mangini, he brings, himself in a way that you can tell, he can play Mike Portnoy's parts in his older stuff, but the new Dream Theater stuff is killer. But as a drummer, and as I almost idolized Mike Portnoy when he was with Dream Theater. So it was a big part. It's like it's like, I don't want to say losing a family member, but it sucked.
It sucked. it was a tough time, when all that happened. But you kind of go with it. But it was funny, you know, when you said you had to, your mom didn't, you know, like some of the music that you listened to, or, you know, I had to hide my secular CDs from my mom as well. Like I would put like Korn CDs behind, like, oh yeah, it's DC Talk. What are you talking about? Yes. Yeah. Flip through Audio Adrenaline. There's Rage Against the Machine behind it, you know.
That's great. I remember the first time this is gonna show my age or whatever, but I don't care. You can carbon date me if you want.
Yeah.
I remember listening to the Mortal Kombat soundtrack when it came out, the movie, and my mom was like, "What is this?" I was like, "I don't know. It's just cool, and they're just saying that the characters from Mortal Kombat."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Nope, not having it." But my mom, you know, I love that woman. She's a great woman. She's a good mom. But, you know, now I don't want to say I've kind of like changed her ways, but she appreciates good music. Like there's a difference between like bad music in a sense of like it's just cheesy cookie cutter, and you know, when it comes to rap, if they're just, you know, saying these awful things, you're like, yeah, you know, that's not right. But you know, where if someone writes about beauty, if somebody writes about,
hey man,
yo,
the internet here is whack sometimes.
It's all good. I went to my settings to make sure it wasn't mine. I was like, man, I hope Comcast isn't screwing me over.
Yeah, no, I live out I live in the mountains, so it's like sometimes it's hit or miss, you know, and yeah, I have to.
I bet you it's.
Do what?
I bet you it's beautiful to look at, though.
Yeah. It's all right. I could honestly, I could use a change of scenery really bad, but you know, like I've grown up here all my life, but you know, I want to see something different. You know, I don't know. My wife and I like have these conversations about moving out to like the desert. I don't know why, because it's so opposite of where we live now. You know, I don't know. But well, I can't remember. What was the last thing you were talking about? We were talking about, I think, secular music and all that, and then it kind of fell apart on my end.
No, it's all good. I think where it kind of got shoddy was when you listen to like bad secular music. There's a sense of like, you know, dehumanizing, using words that, you know, aren't really good to use. I wouldn't use around, you know, my 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just cookie cutter, just bad music, no matter what the genre is. If it's not made in excellence, it's just going to reek of that word I want to use. So, but if you write a song about love, hope, loss, sorrow, you know, all the things that are in a sense beautiful, and you do it with the highest excellence possible in your craft, I mean, that there's something about that type of music, whether it be whatever genre it is, that you should listen to it and you should celebrate it because it was made in a way that it was cared for. And that's why, as a musician, as an artist, you should appreciate well-crafted music of every genre. So.
Except country.
I mean, there's good country. I'm not to like the bro country. I'm not gonna name some bands because I'm just not gonna do that. But I never did old school country. But dude, my top country guy, band, whatever, is Brad Paisley. Man, that dude
he's a great guitar player. He's a great guitar player.
And he's been using the same band, and he just knows how to write songs. And he's so good. And Lady Antebellum is a great band too. Yeah, but. Yeah, I don't have a lot of country, but like I said, I do appreciate good country.
Yeah,
but
when it happens, you appreciate it. Yeah, you know, there's some, you know, Brad Paisley. Yeah, he, you know, you have to respect his guitar musicianship and stuff. It's off the wall crazy. So yeah, but so moving into your drum company, how did you first start getting into wanting to make custom drums? Did you, when you were younger, did you try to like fabricate your own drums and like tweak them and all that kind of fun stuff, tinker with them?
Honestly, man, Third and Fourth came out of a season where Edwin, my son, was about to be born, and the part of me was like, you have to grow up. You have to grow up, lost boy.
I hear you. This is what this podcast is all about. I hear you.
So in a sense, I was like, I still want to be immersed in drums. I still want to be connected to the stage, to the making music, the practicing, and one of my buddies, Josh, from Louisiana, he's like, why not make drums? And that kind of just clicked. I was like, well, I've never done it, but I've been around drums enough to know the anatomy of a drum. Trust me, there's far more to it than just knowing a drum. But it started to the idea of just crafting high quality drums at an honest price, because I don't have our overhead. I don't have a building I have to pay for. It's just me, and I collaborate with other drummers who are drum builders as well. And how can we do this and still, for little Timmy to afford something that he's dreaming of? That's where Third and Fourth kind of was birthed out of. Like, I still want to be on stage, but I don't want to sacrifice family time. Like, I don't. I still want to be around and provide.
Totally.
So a part of me now is, in Texas, Louisiana. It's at the Grand Ole Opry, is at the Nissan Stadium. I mean, it's on tours, it's on records, and I'm still home.
Yeah.
So that's how Third and Fourth came about. And the name, for anyone who's wondering, I'm Edwin Rivera the Third, and my son is Edwin Rivera the Fourth.
That's cool.
So it was just a play on off our names, because I was thinking, how can I create something that inspires me? And I was like, I inspire. I was like, no, that's really cheesy. No one's. I was like, what's my favorite number? 777. I was like, no, I think there's a drum company, but no.
Yeah.
And I thought about, when I toyed with the idea of like, well, maybe it could be like, my son and I, maybe F and S, like father and son. I was like, but effing S, it sounds like you're saying effing S. I was like, that's terrible.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it came about, but I was like, Third and Fourth, and that just, I was like, that's great. And I think I landed a good one.
Yeah, totally. Well, when I always think about things, I was doing some research. I'm like, maybe he grew up on Third and Fourth, and I'm like, well, you never know, So
that's good. A lot of people, when it clicks, when they get to meet my family and I, they're like, oh, and this is my son, Edwin Rivera the Fourth, and my drummer buddies are like, now I get it. I see the connection. I see what you did there. So
yeah, totally.
It's great when the light bulb goes off for other people.
So how many drums did you, when you first started, how many did you you had the test drums. You're like, well, that turned out kind of like I thought it would turn out, or were it's like, done, masterpiece, drop the mic.
I have a good mentor. One of my buddies, he's been around the drum building community for a long time, like even before it was a big thing. And I'm learning from him, like the little, trade secrets. And from the get-go, there wasn't a bad drum. There have been mistakes. don't get me wrong. There have been mistakes, but it's all all about learning, man. And it's, almost kind of like riding your bike. You have to fall. You need training wheels. You need somebody to hold this. You need your dad to hold the seat and say, okay, I got you. And just kind of fake let go. And you're like, I still got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah.
So, and then you look back and you're like, you don't got this. And you crash.
Yeah, and you need a lot of patience. I've learned you need and being fathers, we've learned patience. I have a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a almost 4-year-old. So you learn patience.
Yeah, I'm definitely. They're like missed markings and where I used to build around my son, and dude, I accidentally drilled the wrong marker, and I was so mad. But excuse me, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
You can edit that out, please. And I told the drummer, I was like, dude, I have to get you into the show. Like, I drilled the wrong marker. My son was around playing, and I was like, oh, okay, hey, yeah, we're having fun. And then I drilled the wrong marker, and the badge is going to be off a little bit, like, maybe less than 1/4 inch off. And this is the kind of people that I love. I like working with these types of people. Where they're like, dude, that's a great story. Like, like leave it the way it is, because when someone asks me why is the badge offset a little bit, like it's a little closer to this lug, it's a story to tell. Like every drum, like just being around drums, a 13-inch tom, like if you put two shells together that are 13 inches, like they're gonna be like off by maybe 0.2 millimeters, or a little more, a little less. It's not a perfectly 13-inch drum, and so it's not perfect. And so when he said that, and I was like, wow, it's great that every drum that I craft has a story. There's something imperfect about this drum, and that's kind of how I.
Well, it makes me think of, Stuart Copeland. He had that pearl snare drum. He used all Tama drums, for a long time. Oh, always. But he had a pearl snare drum that was warped, just a smidgen. But that was the snare drum he used on all the Police records, on all of his recordings, because it had some type of magical character to it, just because of a defect, which most people would be like, a defect, that sucks. But to him, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, sorry. This is Ludwig, our cat.
Nice. I was wondering if my cat was gonna bust in, because if you close the door, he wants in, and it's like cats are persistent. People are like, oh, cats suck. They're like they're like dogs. Trust me.
I agree with that. But yeah, dude, and that's what I've learned too. That every drum. Like I toyed with the hashtag once, hashtag all snares matter, because, just because this drum I found for like $25, no other drum will sound like this. This snare or this like kit that, someone might not like because of the brand, or the shell type or whatever. I like the right drummer will make this drum sing. You're like this snare is its own character, and no other drum sounds like this. So I'm a fan of warp drums. My go-to snare doesn't even have snare beds.
Really?
And like even this morning, an engineer guy was like, dude, I want that snare. Like, look away and this drum is going to disappear. And it doesn't have snare beds. And some drummers would be like, dude, that's a terrible idea. Why don't you have snare beds? I don't know. Felt like not giving it a snare bed. And I've had drummers play like, this is one, like, I want this, like, make me one like this. So it's, yeah, man, it's, I think for me, there's, like, I'm around vintage stuff and modern stuff, and they all have a character that you just have to appreciate. And I'm not the guy that says vintage gear is the way to go or modern stuff is the way to go because, you know, technology. I was like, I love it all. Can I just hug them?
Yeah.
And just
can we all be like this? Can we all be together?
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like I have Mac products, but I use Google Chrome on everything that's a Mac, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't pick a side.
Yeah. And, you know, with your drums, when you make one, what's your process, you know, of making a drum, you know, like for a client or, you know, someone that's commissioned you? Do you kind of like try to get in their head and figure out what they're wanting, or, you know, or do some people like, just make me a snare drum? You're like, okay.
I think that what's something that I wanted to set third and fourth drums from other companies was, you know, if someone's like, dude, I want a snare, just make me a snare. Or the guy's like, hey, what does this wood do compared to others? I ask them questions. I grew up as a salesman in a retail store, and something that was taught was like, you ask the right questions to know the customer. So when you say, hey, this computer or this product, based on what you told me, is what you need. I'm not here to make you spend more money. I'm not here to shortchange you. I'm not trying to sell you a cheap product, but based on what you told me, like this snare, this type wood, if it's plywood or stave or metal, and the edges and the head and the rims, I mean, it's just this based on what you want to use it for. Like if I ask, is it for studio? Is it for live? Is it, you know, what type of music? Like, do you have any examples of what you're looking for? And also budget. Because, you know, my snares start at $475, and that's just maple ply wood. But it gets a little more expensive if you're like, okay, what is something that has been in your head? Like, what's a dream snare to you? And then we just go up from there, and based on hardware, you know, wrap, stain, it just all plays into it. But
hoops, you know, all of that. Yeah.
It just comes down to like, what are you looking for? And if what you're looking for costly, if it costs a little more, I'm willing to help you out. Like, you know, let's do 25% this month, and the next month let's do 25. Or what can you do monthly? I'm not here. Like, it was never my intent to like get rich quick with this, because unless you know how to brand well and you're doing something innovative, there's really no money in drums. Like there isn't. My mentor's like, dude, I don't know why you're doing this, because there's no money.
There's no money in podcasting, so yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So it was a sense of like, this is not about me. It's about, you know, if you go to any big name custom drum company and you're like, hey, I want a 5.5 by 14 maple snare drum with a wrap, they'll tell you a price tag, and it's pretty up there, where it's like in the 7 to 8 for maple ply, and they're not asking you questions. So because that was a personal experience that I went through, and I was like, there has to be a better way of Little Timmy or whoever's playing arena tours, or the guy in the middle who's doing session work. Like, don't get me wrong, arena guys and session guys who are killing it in their game, bro, you can afford the prices that I offer. Like, you have no idea how many emails I get. It's like, hey, I want a free drum. Bro, I want free food, but no one's throwing me, free food on the kitchen table. Like, this is a way of providing, some side cash for, savings account on my son, or food, or, something that I just can't give you a drum. Let's talk.
Yeah.
And I can get, this drum from so. Dude, that's cool. And when they tell me, oh, this snare at Guitar Center is blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, guess what? Little Timmy also has that snare from Guitar Center. So what you have isn't your own.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So like I'm providing a way to, like, if you have a dream of a sound or something that like, this is me, it was birthed through an idea, and I can help bring that to life. And that's all I care about. I'm not trying to own the custom drum world or drum community at all. Because I'm in enough forums and Facebook groups where they call us cake decorators. And I was like, okay, well, it's really hard. Have you seen a really beautiful cake? That's not easy to do.
Yeah.
You know, and it takes time. It takes, but sorry about that tangent.
No, I love it.
But, the custom world, the vintage world, the modern world, it's a horse of different color. But I'm just trying to help people get something that they call their own, that has their name on it, and said, yeah, I went to a small drum company and said, hey, this is what I'm looking for. And yesterday 2 days ago, this kid was like, dude, I love this snare. I heard it like 3 or 4 years ago. Can I replicate it? I was like, yeah, dude, let's talk. But first, what's it for? And then he sent me some stuff that he's in a jazz band. And I was like, man, yes. And he's talking about wood hoops. He's like, I love this rap. I was like, yeah, dude, let's, I don't care that you have an itinerary of like, you have your 2 years of tours or whatever. I was like, dude, let's cut you a deal. Let's make this happen for you. And that's what it's about, man. I as a kid, Joseph, man, we exchanged like 120 emails. I'm over exaggerating, but that's what it felt like. But that's what it means to cater to somebody, respect their thoughts and their questions. And that's why I'm in it,
Well, and you probably get a lot of people. It's like, well, I want a very high pitched snare drum. But I think it should be Babinga, 8 by 15 or something crazy depth, and I'm like, dude, you're not gonna get a pitchy sound from that kind of configuration. If you want a pitchy snare drum, why don't you go with a Beechwood 5 by 4, or 5 by something smaller in diameter or something. They're like, oh yeah, I didn't realize that, because people just think, oh, blah 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 uses a beach or or Babinga. Oh, well, they're all gonna sound like that. No, they're not.
Yeah, and that's a cool thing that third and fourth offers as well. Is like, if you're thinking of a different wood type that you saw from another custom drum company or whatever. I was like, we can do that too. It doesn't have to be just maple or mahogany. If you want, we did a few years ago. We did a buddy here locally helped me make a stave, and watching the process and kind of learning about it, I'm just like, wow, like this is. Actually, you just opened up my mind in the sense of this is crazy. But learning from those experiences, like, yeah, if you want, walnut with Babinga stripes, we got you, you know? And I'm not that guy that says, oh, I'm pushing stave because sonically it sounds better. No, if you want your own wood, if you want your own type of snare with different types of woods, and yeah, we'll do it. But just understand that the cost is going to be a little different because it's a little labor intensive.
Yeah.
And
and you can't call up a Tama or Pearl, and unless you're some big shot drummer, you can't call them up like, look, I want a blah 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 this blah 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 that. They're gonna be like, who are you again? How did you get this number? And my secretary, I thought I told her to tell you to piss off, but anyways, you're not. Well, if they come to you, you're not going to do that to them because it's about the connection. It's not about oh, well, it's Thomas Pridgeon, we can work him in. But if you're just if you're Joe Schmo, bye, we'll talk to you later. Get famous and then we'll talk.
Yeah, and that's one thing, man. That's and once again, that's why third and fourth is what it is we are priced well to Like, it doesn't matter who you play for.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a session player, if you're a 13-year-old with dreams and you just want to be the next Dave Grohl or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know, yeah, let's make this happen. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's a very positive thing, and I've had to turn people down because they're like, well, that's too expensive. Well, I'm sorry, I can send your contact to somebody else who could probably do cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't. I don't give them the middle finger, nor do I not reply.
Yeah.
But
well, and like you said, you probably, get 100 emails a day saying, oh, dude, you don't get it. I've got a following of 500 people on Instagram. You should give me some free stuff. It's like, that's not how it works, for one.
No.
I don't care if your following is, 100,000. There's got to be a connection. We got to work with each other. People aren't just throwing free stuff at you. That's not how the world works.
Dude, I have one of the top session guys here in Nashville who came up to me. He played my favorite snare, the one with no snare beds. Once again, somebody be like, well, you need snare beds. You really don't.
You don't.
I mean, if that's what you believe, cool. Let's put snare beds. But this one, I was like, anyway, I told that story. And he's the top guy where, a lot of people follow him. He probably has like 90,000, almost close to 100,000. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But he asked me after playing this snare, I was like, dude, if whatever you make sounds like this,
mm-hmm.
Let's start a relationship. Let's start with the bass drum. I said, okay, I'm down with that.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, he asked me, so what's the price? And I said, I struggled. Like, do I tell this guy, oh, I got you? Or do I go back to the core of, like, okay, well, I know who you are. I know what you do, but I can cut you the same deal that I would cut somebody else if the price tag was. So I wrestled with myself for 2 days, and I replied back. I was like, hey, for this bass drum is X amount. He goes, that sounds about right. Okay, let's do it. And it was one of those things to where, like, he trusted me, and he goes, you know what? He told me, I was like, yeah, there's a big, not custom, but there's a big drum company. It was well known that they want me to play their stuff, but they also want me to do clinics. They want me to, fly here, do this, say this. And dude, I've always just shook hands and said, hey, let's do this together. It's not about business. It's about relationships.
Yeah, and
I don't have a contract signed.
Yeah. And like you said, there's a lot of hidden things, with, oh, you signed with blah, blah, blah. You got to do this, you got to do that, and and even if you're like in the studio, you're like, man, this snare drum is just not fitting the song. Let me drag, they're going to be like, you can't use it. It's not got our name on it. At least we're, in the overall custom drum thing, there's no like, you can use this, you can use that. There's no like, animosity, toward each other about it. It's like, cool. Well, I agree that song needed that snare drum, and I agree that this song needs my snare drum.
Yeah, and when I tell people, when I tell drummers, be like, hey, I want you to be honest about this. So when you post it on social media, whenever you use it for whatever record or whoever you're talking to about the snare, I want you to be honest. Like, say what you love about it. Say something that, I wish this did this, or it's only, one of my buddies said, hey, I want a 1-horse pony for this kind of stuff. And okay, I said, all right, you got it. Let's do what you want. And we did it. But, where was I going with this? 1-horse pony. Sorry, I just lost track. That happens all the time.
Oh, it happens to me all the time, dude. I'll be right in the middle of something and be like, where'd it go? Where'd it go?
I really did lose it, man. That's crazy. Anyways, but yeah, here it is. I don't want drummers, my friends. I tell them, I was like, I don't want the verbiage of this is the best snare drum in the world, or this is like the best drum kit I've ever played on. I was like, I want you to be honest, because people can feel genuine, and people can feel like that doesn't, like, all you're saying is just garbage. Like, it's just stinks. It's not sticking. But someone who's genuine and believes in me or believes in whatever drum company they play, like, you can feel genuine compliments. You can feel the verbiage just come out, and you're like, you know what, that resonates with me, and I believe you. I have to check out Ludwig or Third and Fourth, or you know,
no. So, this kind of leads into a good part of the conversation is, right now you are right in the middle of doing a raffle for a snare drum. So you're trying to raise money for, the victims of Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, no problem, man. And once again, dude, I want to say, before I say that, I appreciate you for when I reached out to you. I appreciate the words and your encouragement and your to stand by this. So I appreciate you. And
oh, no problem.
I thank you. I can't thank you enough that you want to.
Well, and it's funny enough, I was in my head, like I'm always am, thinking, I'm like, I wish I could do something, to help, the people of Puerto Rico, because it's a bad time right now. And, and I'm like, there's, how do I reach out to somebody who may want to donate a drum or something, and just, bam, it's like, magic, you email me like, yes.
That's great, man.
The Lord works in mysterious ways. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so what's going down? It started off, and this is kind of like how Third and Fourth happened, and just how all my, ideas. It was just, what can I do? I was in the moment, and I just wrote something on my notepad, and then I screenshotted it, and I just posted it, and it was good. I told some friends. I reached out to, some drummers, and I said, hey, I'm trying to do this. Do you mind if you want to provide some services? And they're like, sure. I was like, okay, sweet. And it got, in less than around 24 hours, we got up to 375, which was in itself
this is
great.
Amazing. Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, wow. And what makes this close, what makes it close to home, is that Puerto Rico is home. I was born in Bronxville, New York, but I grew up in Puerto Rico, and I have others that were born in Puerto Rico. So I know the culture, I know the food, I know Ponce, and I know San Juan, and just the colors, the feeling, the water. And so when I found out that I have family down there, like my dad, my grandfather, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and I got an update from my dad last night, and he was like, yeah, and I forgot to tell you, but your uncle was down there. You have one uncle down there. And when I found out that Maria just shook Puerto Rico, and I had a family there, and just the devastation, and like, I was just blown away. So I was like, how can I help? I can't do anything by myself. So what can I do? Like, what can I provide? And that's where that, little note on my iPhone kind of went through. And what we're doing is shell, and we're actually crafting. Oh. Hello?
Did I lose it? It cut out just for a second. I'm like, why?
It's all good.
I got to, we were at iPhone, and then I'm like, hello?
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah.
So I think where I was, it was a fly, seat of my pants kind of thing, where I just made this thing my note on my iPhone, and I said, you know what, I'm doing $25. This is from my family. I want to provide, 6.5 by 14, either chrome over steel or aluminum or black brass. Let's do any size maple shell. And you know what, let's make a shell. Let's do something that is just going to be probably one of the most beautiful snares we've ever done. And in 24 hours, like I said, it was $375, and that was just with a note. And one of my buddies was like, dude, let's do this right. People are moved to help, and let's do it right than just a little note. I was like, all right. So I think last Sunday I just revamped my website. I made a page just for Puerto Rico, and I was like, you know what? My buddy said, let's drop it down to $10. You said you want a poplar. You said you're going to do a poplar shell. Let's do something different, man. I was like, all right, let's do this, man. And I told myself 2017 was going to be the collaborative year for me. And it has been and so when Monday, was it Monday? Caitlin? Sorry, I gotta ask my wife. Was it Monday or Tuesday? The website, new website. Monday. Okay, it was Monday. And I revamped it and I just sent it out to people. I made a new post on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere I could. I said, look, we dropped down the price to $10. Whoever gave $25, I'm just going to enter your name in 30 times. Three times, and we changed, the stave shell. We also, because that $375 that was given at the time, more than half of the people were like, dude, I don't want a snare. I make drums, or I'm not a drummer. And they're like, dude, this is for your family. I was like, so how can I, for those people who are doing that, what else can I do? And so I sold one of my old kits to a friend at church for her son, and it was, he's taking lessons, he's immersed. I was like, man, I know that feeling. Just, I was like, all right, I got a drum set, but man, I wish I had like something else, like a different snare. I was like, all right, how about for those people who don't want a custom snare or don't want a drum, let them pass it over to a kid whose dream is to be a drummer and is taking lessons, and like, okay, I want to choose, if I had the money, that's the snare that I would do. And so it's kind of like a paying forward thing. So back to the story, dude, with only 2 pushes and telling friends and family, and I have friends from Texas who, their family in Puerto Rico as well. We're close to $1,700.
Oh, wow. And
I'm blown away, dude. Like the words of encouragement and telling my dad that, look, people are willing to help, and they might not know my family. Some people don't even know me, but they're wanting to help because we're somehow all connected, and we feel what's going on in Puerto Rico. And I talked to my dad because at the time 100% of Puerto Rico didn't have any power. They were out without power. About more than half of Puerto Rico didn't have running water, and it was pretty bad. And where my grandfather and most of my family is, they're on the southwest of Puerto Rico. So they didn't get hit with the eye, but they did get the rain and the wind and the flood. And so when I told my dad he was updating me, he's like, all right, well, your dad, your grandfather, electricity's back. I was like, sweet. That's good. He goes, and that's when I was updated about my uncle. He goes, but your uncle, his roof is gone, his house is damaged, and there's people in the community where my grandfather is, where there might be maybe a drive away. They were affected more so than my grandfather. And I was like, you know what? I was like, Dad, is it okay whatever we raise? Can we divide it up between the community? Like helping your neighbor, helping your brother, helping that one person that you despise 24 hours or a week before the hurricane. Yeah. But now you all feel like we have to help one another out. I was like, Dad, if we raise enough, do you think we can help the community? Like, do you think we can help, those who have suffered or lost and have lost more than our family? And he was like, yes, son, that's a great idea. So I think at this time, whatever we raise, it's not only going towards my family, but now we're helping communities. We're helping rebuild homes and roofs and he said that someone close to him lost like a car. And I was like, if it's already blown. I thought we were only going to get to $800, but man, $1,700 and no one knows what the mystery snare is yet. And I'm not going to give it away because, I have an idea of how to kind of present that. But yeah, dude, this has moved me. It has restored my faith in humanity. Yeah,
it's funny, when you go on social media, especially like Facebook and all that, and you see all the divisiveness going on right now, and then but then you see all the, yes, the hurricane was a horrible thing that happened to Puerto Rico, but you see the resilience of people and the community coming together in a hard time. And it reminds you, oh yes, we can be good and nice to each other, and it is possible for us to get along. And so, it's one of those things. It's like, you can't quite figure out sometimes,
Yeah. It's tough, man.
Yeah.
But cause I live in the Bible Belt. I've always lived in the South. So I know like the left side, and I've lived in the right side, and the power of technology and social media. You're kind of like more so connected to every side of the fence. And like you're crazy on the left and you're crazy on the right. Like guys, like this is not a time to bigger about certain situations or who said what government official said what. I was like, there's people in need. Like if you can't look to your left or your right and see a need, we're ever so connected now to where there's a need in Puerto Rico. There's still a need in Florida, and the Virgin Islands, and dude, just go to a nonprofit in your community and you'll find a need. Oh yeah, and you'll find out that we're not so different. We're the same. And so yeah, I'm happy that this is gone further than I ever thought. So.
Oh yeah, it's I always say right now is the best time, for drummers and everything, because it's the community is so strong. I've never seen a community that has its back. Growing up, drummers were pretty cutthroat, back in high school, but now there's so much of let me help you, you can help me, and it's all collaborative, and it's it's a great time to be, a drummer for sure, or a musician, period.
Yeah, there's a guy who's really well known around here in Nashville for like the Nashville drummer scene, where he saw a post shared and he reached out to me. He's like, hey, love what you're doing. Also, if your family knows of any drummers who have lost gear, like I'm collect, like Nashville drummers are getting together to collect gear to send out to the working musician out there. I was like, oh man, that is beautiful. So it's a sad, trying time, but it's also where like, let's pick up our brother, let's pick up our sister, and like, it doesn't matter what you believe. It's not about the skin color. It's not about, what kind of music you listen to, or you're crazy.
Yeah.
We're still extending our hand and say, hey, I want to pick you up. I want to lift you up. And that's what people have been doing, which is crazy.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate what, doing the snare drum and all that. It's such a noble thing for sure.
Yeah, dude. I thank you. And this would not be where it's at if it wasn't people like you and friends and family and people I don't even know, people in the music industry, people that have nothing to do with music, but they're just like, hey, I want to help your family. If it wasn't people like you, dude, this would not be where it's at,
Yeah. Well, like I said, I was thinking, racking my brain. I'm like, how can I help? What can I do? And it's like the right circumstances happened at the right time, and your email, and, it's just all like, it was meant to be, for sure.
Yeah. And I, like, you have sprung ideas in my mind. And like I said, you have some ideas that how you and I can kind of get this raffle even to more people. So I extend a internet hug to you.
Yeah, there it is.
So thank you. And,
no problem.
Like I said, I'm excited for what, because I think let me real quick go to my phone. I told someone the 15th was the last day, but I'm actually extending it to the 22nd. The last day is the 22nd, and I will announce the winner or whoever wants to pass it down the 23rd. So, but from now, and can I tell you future ideas, or do you want me to spoil it or whatever?
Let's maybe one spoiler.
One spoiler? Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to tell you what type of drum it is, but the way we're going to present it is going to be great. I'm just talked to some drummers here in Nashville who are going to meet at a studio one day, and I have a buddy of mine who's a film director who is going to be there, and I'm just going to allow the space for drummers to sit behind the mystery snare and get it recorded professionally. And so you'll hear other drummers talk about it. Like, I was like, how can I tell this? How can I tell people about this snare, but without me? Because, I'm semi-biased, maybe. So I was like, so I'm getting a collective of drummers to meet me at a studio in downtown Franklin.
Nice.
And that's how we're going to reveal the snare. So
cool. That reminds me of I think Tama did that with one of their lines. They just brought a bunch of drummers in and just threw a bunch of drums at him, like, just here, and you got like the, I like this, and you got some people like, I like this, but, and it was great. I like the honesty.
Yeah. And that's how I was like, don't say anything like this is the best snare in the world or whatever. It's like, I want you to be honest and know that this could be someone's future snare for like a drummer, or it could be, little Timmy over there who just is inspired to be the next Mike Portnoy or Steve Jordan or Aaron Sterling, or the list goes on. So just, no crazy talk.
Yeah. Well, I think the to lighten the mood, I guess you could say, is the question I've been asking lately that all the listeners love is, what is your worst gig story?
Ooh, worst gig story.
I got quite a few.
The website for the raffle is Third and Fourth Drums / Puerto Rico. Sorry, Puerto dash. Oh, we're good.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, sweet. So it's thirdandfourthdrums.com/photo dash like the little minus sign Rico and the / or whatever.
Yeah. I'll put a link in the description and all that. So
sweet.
We'll be golden.
You're the podcast man. Worst gig. I highly recommend everyone who's listening to listen to the band The Early Reset. It's a one-man band by one of my good buddies, Stephen Arthur, and he was like, "Dude, I got a gig. Let's play." And so we got some buddies from church, and we're like, "All right, let's do this." And killer songs, and he's so good. So we played in Nashville, Exit In. And dude, second song, we're rocking, I'm running tracks and all that stuff. I was like, all right, we're on, we're good. I'm singing along, having a good time. And dude, homie G-Dog's bass drum pedal, the beater just flew off.
Oh no.
And I'm still rocking. I was like, I've lost my bass drum. Where's it? And I look down and all you see is swooka, swooka, swooka.
Yeah.
So I'm playing along, and I was like, I can't stop, and we're doing tracks, and we got to keep rocking. So I'm using my floor tom as a freaking bass drum, and the second to third song there was no gap, so I only had like maybe 15, less than 10 seconds maybe to fix it. Another one would be bass drum beater went straight through the bass drum head. Recently, I'm not going to tell you the worst, because once again, I'm keeping that to myself right now. Excuse me. I had a country gig, and as a drummer, I have like my worship washy, big, thin cymbals, which is the thing these days. But I also have like my rock, my pingy, my 14-inch, my Sabian AX Explosion Crash. So I had to play at church, and forgot to change my rock country pingy stuff for my washy 15-inch hi-hats, thin cymbals. And I was like, you know what, guys? We're experimenting today, so I'm just going to play kick, snare, and my broomsticks. And what else? My brushes. And dude, I had people come. It was like this. My wife, Caitlin, she's like, Edwin, I just want to let you know this was the best worship. That it was so good because I X-nayed everything. I was like, if I'm gonna break it down, I'm taking the hi-hat out. I'm taking the floor tom. And I was like, how can I? And then I got the sound guy. He's like, you know what? Since you're using brushes and broomsticks and you're going to hit the top of your bass drum, let's put a mic to give that broomstick like its definition when you're playing on the hoop of the bass drum. And I don't know if this is a good thing or not, but I make the sound guys work. Because when I was
they have to.
I was like, I'm not a one setting drummer. So I'm just playing with brushes, and I was like, how can I make this feel like just open and different? I was like, sound guy, I'm going to try something different. Justin at the time, he's such a good dude. I was like, I'm going to make it feel like an ocean. And so like throughout this one song, it feels like, I was like, I think I want to make it sound like you're in an ocean. And so I'm just, and he's like, dude, that's great. I was like, all right. And it's a mess up, which could have been a bad, worst gig.
Yeah.
Actually, it put me out of my usual Sunday morning worship gig, and the rest of the band's like, all right, let's try it. And the sound guy's like, I'm going to try something different. I'm just going to put the mic here and see what happens. And we're like, all right, sweet.
Yeah.
It was great. So
making lemons out of lemonade. Yeah.
You got
or making
man.
lemonade out of lemons, however it goes.
I don't know. I was thirsty. So,
yeah. Well, I was trying to think of the word. Well, I have a ton of them. The one that comes to mind is I was in high school, and our band teacher, it was me and 4 guys. It was I played drum set, 2 guys played marching snare drums, and we had a guy play tenors. And we kind of were trying to do like a Blue Man Group / meets like Stomp, whatever it was back then. So
nice.
We played like the Battle of the Bands at my high school. We took the prize for best whatever it was. I forget what they called it. So our band teacher's like, hey, I signed you guys up for the Asheville musicians. I forget what it was called, but anyways, it was at the college here in my town. So we thought, oh, this is gonna be cool. We get there, it's all like little kids, like middle school or younger. And they're all playing like the symphonic, ultra hoity-toity kind of stuff. So it's our turn. They put us on last, which was probably a good thing. So we get out there, and we brought our own lights. We brought our own like strobe lights. We brought our own like police siren lights. We're just like going to town, and all of a sudden the lights just start turning on in the whole place. Like, what's going on? We gave somebody a seizure because we had that strobe light going.
What?
Yeah. And it was like, stop everything, and they,
oh man,
they run up on stage, they unplug the strobe light, and they're like, you gave someone a seizure because of the strobe light. We're like, my bad. And they're like, you must leave now.
Oh, wow.
And I have never torn apart my drum set so fast in my life.
Dude, that's crazy.
And, we were super concerned. We didn't, we thought, because this is exactly how we did it at the Battle of the Bands. Everybody loved it. So we're like, knowing your audience is very important. But, we were 17-year-old kids. We didn't know. And so, we get back to school, and my band teacher's like, we need to talk. We're like, we're so sorry about what happened. He's like, that's not what I'm asking you about. What happened? So we had to like tell him what happened. One like, don't do that again, So.
Jeez. Yeah, you beat me on worst gigs.
Oh, that's just like hitting that's one of like, that's like on the top 20, that's, on the very bottom of the top 20, the first one I'm like, I'll keep to myself.
Okay.
Because once I tell that one, I will be outdone by something more horrific.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
That was a good call.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you being on and telling the stories, and I loved it.
Dude, it's been great. This is awesome, and this is my first podcast, so congratulations, Daniel.
I keep forgetting. I have like this soundboard app on my phone, and I've been dying to use it. So I have like oh, it's not on. Dang it! Hang on. Here it is. So
yes, that is great.
Well, it has like
That's what she said.
Just some random stuff.
Text me that app so I can use that, because I say that's what she said all the time.
Yeah. Well, I'll be sitting at the table. I'll just be like casually like, and the kids are like, "What is going on?" I'm like,
That's a spicy meatball.
yeah.
I want that. I want that.
It's so juvenile, but I don't care.
You got to be a child sometimes.
Cool, man. Well, so people can follow you on Instagram, Twitter. I don't know if you're on Twitter.
Yep, it's all third and fourth drum.
Mm-hmm.
No S, and that's for Facebook. That's for Twitter. That's for Instagram. That's for SoundCloud. I think even Google Plus. Haven't used that in forever, but I still use it.
Yeah.
I still have it. All the updates will go there. New website. You can sign up for a newsletter, which I will be sending out probably when I make the video for there. So, yeah. And
then you'll be, doing some, Instagram takeovers on my account to spread the word so people can also.
That's gonna be so cool, man. Like I'm not when you told me that. Here's when we talked on the phone that one day. I made notes. I know people can't see this, so
it's all good. Yes. Yeah.
But I was like, oh, Instagram rap podcast. Yes, the right headphones, which I found one. Instagram takeover. I was like, this is ingenious. So, like, once again, and dude, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and a little bit of like who you are and your family and what you do.
Yeah. I need to make a trip out to Nashville and just like be like, hey, I'm in Nashville. Let's meet up.
Dude, come over, man, because like I have my basement is half like my old apartment. Like before Caitlin and I got bought this house, I had a one bedroom apartment, and everything that fits in that one bedroom apartment is actually downstairs in half of my basement. The killer, and the other half of our basement is our drum room.
Oh, nice.
Which is 13 snares, 3 kits.
Oh, wow.
Super NES, Nintendo.
All right, I'm leaving right now.
64, Sega Genesis, Atari.
Nice.
Yeah, man. So it's dude, whenever you come over, let me know. And and you have a place to stay for free.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll jam and nerd out on drums. Dude, I recently bought a kit from Nelson Drum Co., who I kind of do some stuff for.
Yeah.
It's my first vintage kit. It's my first mahogany kit. I've been toying with the idea of building myself a mahogany kit. Dude, it's a 1958 Slingerland Radio King.
Wow.
Mahogany with solid maple reinforcement rings.
Mm-hmm.
It's 14 by 22, 9 by 13, and 16 by 16. And I have the maple snare, which is 5.5 by 14, with maple reinforcement rings, and it sounds killer. One of my friends, because I was having a problem. Like, I'm a good tuner, but I was like, I can't get this kit to sing right. Like, something's missing. And one of my buddies who you should follow, and you probably do, is the Drum Tamer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, the great dude.
Yeah. He came over and we were just talking. I was like, I can't get this floor tom to work. It's just not working. I was like, I have a 16 by 16 maple. Is it because it's mahogany? What's going on? He's like, honestly, dude, all you need is like these little ISO mount rubber things on the legs. You're just missing little rubber things on. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, all the force is going to the floor. It's not, there's no way to escape. And I was like, okay. So we got some ISO mount little thingamabobbers, I think by Pearl or whatever. And dude, he came over and he was telling me some tricks of the trade and what he does, and just learning from that guy. He's a wealth of knowledge. And dude, man, we got that sucker to sing. And I was like, this is what 1958 sounded like.
Nice.
And it's Capri Pearl, so it's like a rare rap. And I was telling Bryson, I was like, dude, I got to find me a 16 by 18 or 18 by 18 tom from 58 or Slingerland in this rap. He's like, dude, good luck, because that they had to custom make those back then, and it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
I was like, well, we got to hunt it down.
Yeah. Thank God for the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Well, cool, man. Well, again, I appreciate you being on, and I look forward to the mystery reveal of the snare drum for sure.
I'll keep you updated, man. You're gonna love it. So.
Oh yeah, cool, man. Well, all right, guys. Well, thank you for listening, and we will see you guys later.